Hey, it's Myers back for another record review. Today we're doing a release from my label Sioux and kind of a backstory on where Sioux come from. In 2007, I started Sioux Guitars as a guitar effects pedal company, and by 2012 had expanded the line to amplifiers. 2016, we introduced some guitars and basses, and in the course of all that, I developed a relationship with different bands and different musicians. And, during the lockdown of 2020, I'm spending a lot of money on ordering records. And, you're stuck at home, you're listening to records, you're doing whatever. And I happened to just mention it on Facebook. Hey, I want to start a label. And one of the musicians I've been working with Sioux Guitars, shouted, "Hey, I've got a record in the can. I've been sitting on it for 8 years. You can put it out if you want." And which really surprised me because the guy, Richard Bacchus, from Degeneration. Degeneration was one of the biggest bands of the 1990s. I'm from Sioux, Iowa, which is just kind of the armpit of civilization. But there was a period in the 90s where you couldn't get in somebody's car to, run down the convenience store or run to the bar or whatever, where somebody didn't have No Lunch by Degeneration playing on their car stereo. I mean, everybody I knew listened to No Lunch. Degeneration was such a phenomenal band in the 90s, and kind of one of the pillars of the soundtracks of my life. So when Richard reached out to me, said, "Hey, I got this record you can put out if you want," it kind of blew me away because I'm just a little guy. I don't have the kind of resources that the labels he's been on with Degeneration been able to afford. But when I laid out my terms for him, he said it sounded good. He wanted to go ahead and do the record. So what he sent me to put out just kind of blows me away. I mean, this really reminds me of like a 1970s Stones record. Think about Stones, right? Let's talk about Some Girls. Like, Some Girls is all over the map. You got Just My Imagination, which is, an R&B tune. And then you got Faraway Eyes, which is a honky-tonk tune. And then you got the Rippers, the classic Stones Rippers that it's just a great record where it's all over the place. And this record is kind of that same way. You got these Stones and Faces sort of rippers like Sayonara and, that are just great. But, there's, Adios Muchacho, which is this moody, like, whiskey drenched self-reflection, sort of tune with a lot of great saxophone in it. It just love that song. Luckiest Girl is a great tune. My personal favorite is Daily Lethals. Daily Lethals reminds me of a Replacements tune. Ricky had told me that the story on that was Degeneration was getting ready to go on tour, and they did an interview with a guy who, he was a bartender at the Limelight in New York, and they went on tour, and the guy, this was in the 90s before cell phones or whatever, and remember all the ads for collect calls, 1-800-COLLECT, or whatever the collect call. Well, when they'd get to their hotels, this guy had tried calling them collect or whatever, and, as a band, Degeneration is just like, if there's something wrong with the interview, we'll take care of it when we get home, whatever. Well, they get home, and they found out that this guy had found out he was HIV positive, and went down to New Orleans and committed suicide. And, so the song Daily Lethals is about how this affected Ricky. There's a great verse in the song where he's talking about, what happened to you to make you do this? What happened to you to, make your friends all abandon you? And, it just is a really hard-hitting, poignant, emotional song, but then the other shit he's got on here, like Gucci Boxer, Gucci Boxer it's not that reggae, ska sort of thing, but the late 70s, early 80s, you had bands like The Clash and Police and Elvis Costello who had that reggae influence, that ska influence, but they weren't ska reggae per se. They just had that dub sort of undertone, and that's what he does on Gucci Boxer, and then covers The Clash's Bank Robber with an acoustic guitar, and my personal favorite song by The Clash is Bank Robber. So I mean, all in all, this is just a killer record. Show you some of the packaging here. A Sioux record. On my LPs, we've been silk screening all the covers. So all the covers are just a little bit different, because maybe on this one, the guy pressed a little bit harder and has some bleed through from the squeegee bleeding through, or maybe the next one is a little bit lighter and a little bit streaky looking. So here's the front cover. Viva La Wattage by Richard Bacchus and the Luckiest Girls. On the back side, again, silkscreen. Got a picture of Ricky here. Songs on both sides. Who's on it? Some credits here. And inside here. Oh, another thing about Sioux records is they top load. My thinking on going with top loaded LP jacket is most people put their records in on a shelf, like an IKEA Kalex shelf, and if you have your record in the back of it, and you go to slide it out, you don't want your record rolling out into the back of your shelf, and so what most people do is they put the paper, the inner sleeve, upright inside, the side load record sleeve to try to prevent that. But you don't even need to worry about that with the top load because it ain't going anyplace. It ain't going to roll. But here is the record, 180 gram white vinyl on Sioux's. Right over here on that side, I have a blank, hand number them 1 to 300, and so because this one's mine, obviously I get number 1, but we have them out there for sale, and if you want to order yourself one, the link's in the description. And if you like this video, if you like what I'm trying to do here with record reviews, and just kind of give you some insight on what fuels me, what turns my crank, what the kind of music I'm into, where I've seen the industry come from and where I see it going as far as punk and roll goes. I mean, you might ask, what's punk and roll? Okay, for me, punk and roll is basically punk rock guys grew up on Kiss and AC/DC, Thin Lizzy, Cheap Trick, T-Rex, that sort of stuff. And it's punk. It's got that punk attitude. We're fucking with you, and we're going to fuck with you. And it's got that attitude and aesthetic, but it's also got some swagger. And Johnny Thunders really kind of introduced some of that swagger. Not just Johnny Thunders, but all the New York Dolls just kind of had that swagger, and coming into the 80s, I mean that whole sort of swagger thing of maybe not going all the way there with some of the glam stuff, but like somebody like Hanoi Rocks, with just there's a swagger. And honestly, I can't think of a better word than swagger. It's just it's a stylistic choice of being a little bit loose, a little bit but you're right there with I don't know. I don't honestly. I don't know how to explain it. To me, punk is a genre of music. Punk is an attitude. And the first time you heard that attitude in rock and roll was when Bo Diddley sang "I'm just 22 and I don't mind dying." But the attitude predates rock and roll, man. Like that attitude is in "On the Road" by Jack Kerouac, and going back even further to Oscar Wilde stuff, and and Rimbaud, and so that attitude of like I'm going to do things my way, and I'll accept the consequences, but I'm going to do things my way, and like that's always appealed to me. I mean, I remember being a little kid and seeing a picture of John Lydon in a copy of Newsweek or Time magazine, and I didn't know who the fuck he was. I didn't know what he did. I remember being mesmerized by his eyes and his orange hair and thinking, that's who I want to be when I grow up. And now that he's a big fucking Trump supporter or whatever, no, but like who I want to be, I don't want to be a rock star, man. Like I don't have it in me, like, to do that. Like I don't have musical talent. I mean, the reason I started Sioux Guitars with building the effects pedals and the amps is I don't have musical talent. But what I do have, is the ability to push and nudge. And now with the record label, I could push and nudge. And like I said, for years with Sioux Guitars, like I always felt like the guy who sold Michelangelo paintbrushes. Like, Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. I don't have that ability, but I could provide the tools, just like the guy who sold Michelangelo paintbrushes provided him the tools to do what he did. And so now that I've evolved from Sioux Guitars to doing a record label, and I'm still doing Sioux Guitars. I mean, there's pedals out there on the website, whatever. But what's happened with me evolving to doing the record label is now I feel like can't think of the name of the family, the rich Italian family who financed, who paid for Michelangelo to do all of his art. Like I'm not rich by any means, but like I foot the bill to get these records pressed because I fucking believe in these bands. I want to see. I think it's important this fucking record is out there. Maybe you've never heard it, maybe you never will hear it, but this record means a fuck ton to me. It means a fuck ton to other people I know. So being able to be a part of making sure shit like this gets out there, gets out into the world, is available to people, I think is an important deal. So, anyways, like I said, if you want a copy, links in the description. If you want to send me something of yours you want me to review, the address is in the description. If you like what I'm doing here, I know you hear this on all the YouTube videos, but like hit the like button on the video, click the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I can keep doing this if you people want to see this. So anyways, here's some sound samples from the record. I think I'm going to play you little bit of Sayonara and some daily lethals and perfect example.
what you do.